welcome to the Astro Imaging Journey channel. Please enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome back to my Astro Imaging Journey channel. And in the last episode, talked about the SGP recommendation for the timeline, the imaging timeline graphing that might be useful. At least I would find it useful. And in there we saw that C5 I should be able to complete. And now I need a target to fill in that time after C5 completes and NGC 155 begins. And I already looked in Stellarium here, and I think this one might be what I'm going to go for. I have it centered on NGC 672 right now, but you've got two galaxies in there. I see 1727 as well as NGC 672. And I think that would create a nice little image if I could put the center right in the middle of the two. And so let's go do the Framing and Mosaic wizard in SGP. Let's get this recentered first. So that's NGC 672. We're going to come over here. We're going to go up to Tools, Framing and Mosaic Wizard, and in the Object, first I want to drop this down to 1. NGC 672 is my object. Field of view 1. The rest of this auto-populates based on the equipment you have selected. And there we have it. So it looks like we got a little guy right here. And then our other two. My rotation, first let me just draw a small box. Let it autofill. And I'm just going to drag it so that the center is right about there. And then the nice thing is we can rotate this around, get an orientation that we might like. And I don't know if how I want to frame this. I think I might like it about like that. Yeah, that'll work. So now that we have that, we've set our rotation. Obviously, if you don't have a rotator, that's not going to work. You're going to have to manually rotate it, or take the image after you're done processing it, crop it, rotate it and crop it as you need to. So let's go ahead and create the sequence. And I do not associate, append, yes, slew and center. So it successfully created it. It's going to be all the way at the bottom. I'm just going to go ahead and add my events. I believe we do 8. And now I'm just going to go ahead and set my options here. Alright, so I've set my options. As you can see right now, without having taken a single image, it's going to be about a day's worth, almost 24 hours worth of imaging time to complete this target. So hopefully, as we get into fall and winter, we will be able to maximize our time as the nights get longer. And now I just need to move this up to after C5. Okay, so that has, I've got that moved up. I was going to say that has completed. Wow. So now we know from this here that it peaks out of the trees somewhere around 9 o'clock. We'll just go ahead and we'll go to there, which is 9:01, so I'll say 9:10. And all I'm doing here is just hit the little gear icon hovered over that target. Start at, and then we will do 9, 10, just to give us that extra little buffer of the tree line. We will end. However, I do not want to put that time just yet because I want to see what time does this one end. That one ends at, or starts rather, at 12:01. So we will go back here. We will end this at 12:10 a.m. It gives us a little bit of overlap so that hopefully we don't have too much dead time, because if I were to end it right at 12:01 and at 11:52 it completes a frame on this one, it's going to stop the sequence, and then it's going to be dead time until approximately 12:01, at which point it will slew over to the next target. So that, that's 8 or 9 minutes of imaging time that's lost. So I want to be able to say, let's get an image that hopefully carries into the start of the next target, finish that image, and immediately slew over to the next target. I want that little bit of overlap, but not a ton. And let's check with time, because what was the one thing I'm not taking into consideration here is the meridian flip. And that meridian flip occurs at 12:59. So yes, I could go to 12:59 and be okay, since this one goes till 3 something in the morning. But this is more of a filler since I'm already got a lot of data on this one. So I don't want to go too much into this one's time. I'm kind of curious to get that one finished as well. But while we're on the subject of the framing and mosaic wizard, let's look at an actual mosaic. So a little while ago you saw I did the mosaic of the moon. I really liked it. It ended up being pretty nice, with my longer focal length being 1960 millimeters. Some of the more popular targets, I want to say, are just too large for my sensor without doing a mosaic. And I've been really apprehensive about doing a mosaic simply because I wasn't quite sure how to do it and how it would turn out. I liked the moon, and how it turned out. So I'm going to try to do the Monkey Head Nebula. But how did we come up with 9 panels and then each one being, -1, -2, things of that nature? So first let me close this out and save it in case anything happens. At least tonight I'm set, ready to rock and roll. So let's come over here. Let's go back into SGP and let's look at something a little bit different. Heart Nebula, that would be an interesting one. The Soul Nebula. Let's look at the Soul Nebula. IC 1848. We're just going to come over here to our Framing and Mosaic wizard under Tools. That was 1848. So in here we're going to do IC 1848. And I'm not going to change the field of view just yet, because this is the mistake I made with the Monkey Head Nebula. I wasn't sure how big it was. And as you can see here, you just can't see it. Where is it? And this is one of the problems I've found. Things aren't quite right. So if we go to a field of view, and by quite right I mean I put in the target right, 1848, it should be centered. Even though it's larger than this panel, it should be centered, and it's not. So we're going to go ahead and do a field of view 2, do a fetch again. Now we have it down here. So what we need to find, something that's central, like this star here, or something a little bit more central. This is what I had to do with the monkey head. So if we come back over here, we've got the Soul Nebula. And I'm going to go with 13431. 13431. 13431. That's going to be my object. We hit fetch, and that's a lot better. So for whatever reason, when we look up the catalog on the nebula itself, it thinks the center is up here to the north as this image is displayed, and we have to find a star that's more in the middle. So if we go to a field of view of 2.5, that should bring us where this outer edge over here to the left is more in frame. And there we go. So now, if I were just to do one little block, as you can see, it's too small. I could do something like this, capture these two structures here, and make something out of that. Or I can, where was that? Okay, So since I couldn't remember how to remove that, I just hit fetch again, and now we get a black and white image, which is quite interesting. But as you can see, one panel, one sensor size, it's just not going to cut it. So what I want to do is I want to frame this up a little bit. I'll rotate it this way. I like that. And then our nebula is here and down here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start somewhere down over here. So I'm going to start somewhere over here. I'm going to drag that box to include all of that nebula. And to do this justice, we would be looking at a 25 panel mosaic. Wow. That would definitely be a little bit out of the scope I want to try to do right now. But if I reset this, and let's say I just want to do this area right here. That's a nice little 4-panel mosaic. And we'll just center it over this right here. I mean, another way we can do it is I can just find my point, say about right there, say center here. Yes. That refetches what I'm looking at. That was another way we could have done it. Instead of trying to find a star. I just learned that. That's pretty interesting. So, again, let's do that 4-panel mosaic. We do it right about here. Then we just go ahead and we create. As you can see, the name that we selected up here when we searched is auto-populated, but in this particular case, I'm going to say Inner Soul Nebula, just because it's an inner structure inside the Soul Nebula. And we'll go ahead and click OK. And it created the 4 targets. So now, when we come in here and we go all the way to the bottom, you can see we've got Inner Soul 1, Inner Soul 2, 3, and 4. And then we'd have to go through, make our adjustments, and to our events, and then move it accordingly into our list. Do we need to move the list around? No. I mean, we do to make sure everything lines up that, this one's going to happen before this one and so on and so forth. But is it critical that they're all to the top like I have them? No, it's not. But that's the way I like to do it, simply because that satisfies my little bit of OCD. So, yeah, I mean, as far as creating the mosaic targets, there you go. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to be real curious to see how the Monkey Head Nebula turns out. But the Soul Nebula, that one actually shows up pretty early, so maybe I could have done that one as my filler, but doing a 4-panel mosaic, I'm not too keen on doing that just yet. I want to complete some other targets before I even get into this, so that's why the monkey head's going to be my first one because I want to have some other stuff to practice some other things on first, and then get into trying the mosaic. So it's going to be some time, simply because, like I said, Monkey Head Nebula is going to be a 9-panel mosaic, which means total imaging time of 24 hours per target or per panel. It's going to be 9 total days. That's going to take a while to capture that data. But let's look at what the monkey head looks like. So let's get that fast forwarded to a time where it's above the trees. And this, as much as I like Stellarium, it looked like it should only be, a 3 or maybe 6-panel mosaic. But let's take a look at it in SGP. So that is 2174. Okay, so we're going to come over here, Framing a Mosaic Wizard, and let's go with 2 and NGC 2174, if I remember correctly. Fetch. And let's just draw it, and that was 1 panel. So you would think it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's not. So I drew it more like this. And that's a 6-panel mosaic. Why was it a 9-panel? I don't remember. Maybe I don't know why. I might have to revisit that. Let me take a look at something. Rotation was 359. Oops. Alright, so maybe I just want a little bit outside of it. Something like that. Well, that's even worse. But I think with a 9-panel, so let's see, this would be these bottom 9 here. This is 6. Would have been about like that, and I think I just wanted some extra space around here. I didn't want to clutter it too much like the 4-panel would be. So if I did like this right here, that would be a 4-panel, and we're talking about getting stuff into where we have those vignettings. You got a little bit of trail out this way that might have been missed. So I think when I did it, that's why I went something like that. And it was just a little bit bigger than that, but this is going to be an interesting project. Something to learn from. So just a little quick thing on the Framing and Mosaic wizard while I had it in my head. So hope you guys found it somewhat informative. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy out there. Please stick around for the outro. As always, clear skies and have a good one.
Thank you for watching yet another video from the Astroimaging Journey channel. Really appreciate your viewership. In our upper right, we have the latest video we've uploaded. In our lower right, we have what YouTube might think you would enjoy. And in the lower left is our subscription button. Please like this video, subscribe if you so choose. As always, clear skies, have a good one, and remember Duke.